Is Dorit Kemsley's mansion really headed toward foreclosure and a possible public auction? Or is the reality far more complicated than the headlines suggest? According to recent court filings and multiple media reports, the financial future of the Kemsley family's Encino home has become a central issue in the increasingly bitter divorce proceedings between Dorit and her estranged husband, Paul P.K. Kemsley. While dramatic claims have flooded social media, separating verified facts from speculation has become more difficult than ever. And that's exactly where this story begins. Because sometimes the biggest twists don't happen on reality television. They happen after the cameras stop rolling. For years, Dorit Kemsley represented one of the most recognizable images of Beverly Hills luxury. Every appearance seemed carefully curated. Couture, fashion, luxury vehicles, international vacations. A home that looked more like the cover of an architectural magazine than a family residence. Whether viewers loved her style or criticized it, there was no denying that Dorit understood the business of appearances. Reality television rewards spectacle. The bigger the lifestyle, the more memorable the personality. And in a franchise built around extraordinary wealth, image isn't simply part of the job. In many ways, it is the job. That makes what's happening today particularly fascinating, because this isn't merely another celebrity breakup. It's a financial dispute playing out through legal documents, competing narratives, and public scrutiny. In recent months, court filings connected to Dorit and PK's divorce have painted dramatically different pictures of what led to the current crisis. PK's filings describe a household facing mounting financial obligations, including significant mortgage arrears on their Encino property. According to those filings, he believes selling the home is necessary before the financial situation deteriorates further. Dorit's legal team, however, has pushed back with its own version of events, arguing that the circumstances are far more complex and disputing key aspects of PK's claims. So, who is telling the full story? That's the question fans, and perhaps eventually the court, will have to answer. To understand why this has become such a major headline, it's important to go back several years. When Dorit first joined the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, viewers immediately noticed something different about her. She wasn't simply wealthy. She presented herself as someone deeply immersed in luxury culture. Every outfit seemed intentional. Every room inside the home reflected expensive design choices. Even ordinary family dinners often unfolded inside spaces that looked professionally styled. Television, after all, is visual, and Dorit understood visuals better than most. Over multiple seasons, her home became almost another cast member. Birthday celebrations, holiday gatherings, business meetings, family conversations. The property served as the backdrop for countless memorable scenes. To many viewers, it symbolized stability, success, achievement, which is precisely why today's reports feel so jarring. Because if the legal filings accurately reflect the financial challenges surrounding the property, then the home that once represented prosperity has instead become the center of one of the franchise's most closely watched legal battles. Public records referenced in court proceedings indicate that the property has become entangled in mortgage-related disputes as the divorce continues. Those filings, not television episodes, are now driving much of the public conversation. But the financial issues are only one layer of this story. Another involves timing. For fans, the separation between Dorit and PK already came as a major turning point. Their relationship had been featured on television for years. Viewers watched family vacations, celebrations, arguments, moments of vulnerability. Like many reality TV couples, audiences felt they knew them. But watching edited episodes and understanding someone's financial reality are two very different things. As divorce proceedings intensified, financial disagreements became increasingly public. That's where headlines began multiplying. One report focused on mortgage payments. Another highlighted allegations surrounding spending habits. Another discussed legal arguments involving responsibility for household expenses. Then social media did what social media always does. Individual claims were separated from their legal context. Speculation spread faster than verified information. And suddenly, countless viewers believed they already knew exactly what had happened. The reality is more nuanced. PK alleges in court filings that Dorit's spending on luxury goods and travel contributed to the family's financial difficulties. Dorit has disputed the broader narrative, arguing that she earns her own income and has challenged suggestions that she knowingly ignored the family's financial obligations. These are competing legal positions, not established findings of fact. That distinction matters, because allegations made during contentious divorces often become public long before any court reaches final conclusions. And this divorce appears to be anything but ordinary. Legal disputes involving valuable real estate frequently become complicated. When a couple owns an expensive property together, every decision becomes strategic. Should the home be sold? Should one spouse remain inside? Who pays ongoing mortgage obligations? Who covers maintenance? Utilities? Insurance? Taxes? If disagreements develop, financial pressure can increase quickly. Those questions are now at the center of the Kemsley dispute. Court documents referenced by entertainment media suggest that disagreements over the home's future have become one of the primary issues dividing both sides. Yet another detail has captured enormous public attention. The phrase 5% ownership. It's dramatic, it's attention-grabbing, and it's everywhere online. But here's where viewers need to be careful. The widely circulated figure appears to be an estimate discussed in commentary surrounding the property's financial position rather than an officially adjudicated ownership determination. It stems from analyses comparing estimated home value against reported mortgages, liens, and other obligations, not from a court ruling declaring Dorit owns exactly 5% of the property. That difference may seem technical, but legally, it's enormous because equity calculations can change depending on property value, outstanding debt, accrued interest, transaction costs, and future court decisions. Numbers circulating online often simplify what are actually highly complex financial situations. Still, the broader issue remains. If a property's debt approaches or exceeds its available equity, options become increasingly limited. Refinancing becomes harder. Selling becomes more urgent. Negotiations become more tense. And every month matters, especially when divorce proceedings are unfolding at the same time. What makes this story especially compelling isn't simply the money. It's the contrast. For years, audiences watched extraordinary luxury on screen. Now they're reading legal documents discussing mortgages, repayment obligations, competing financial narratives, and the uncertain future of one of the franchise's most recognizable homes. It's a reminder that television only shows part of someone's life. The paperwork often tells another story, and as this legal battle continues, one mystery remains unanswered. Will the Kemsleys find a resolution before the property reaches the point of no return? Or is one of Beverly Hills' most recognizable reality TV homes about to become the latest casualty of a very public divorce? That question has everyone watching, because what happens next could reshape not only this divorce, but Dorit Kemsley's future on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. The deeper investigators looked into the public records surrounding the Kemsley property, the clearer one thing became. This wasn't simply a story about one overdue mortgage payment or a temporary cash flow problem. According to publicly reported court filings, the dispute surrounding the Encino mansion reflects a far more complicated financial picture, one that's now intertwined with a high-profile divorce, competing legal claims, and the pressure of maintaining a public image while private finances are under intense scrutiny. And perhaps that's what makes this story resonate beyond the world of reality television, because behind every headline about luxury homes and designer wardrobes lies a very human question. How does a family reach this point? The answer isn't as simple as many social media posts would have people believe. For years, viewers watched Dorit and PK present themselves as a united couple, like many reality television families. Their lives were filtered through edited episodes designed to entertain millions of viewers. Audiences saw glamorous vacations, business ventures, lavish celebrations, and carefully produced family moments. What they didn't see were the financial documents, legal negotiations, or private conversations happening away from the cameras. Reality television creates familiarity, but familiarity isn't the same as complete access. In fact, some of the most important moments in a celebrity's life happen entirely off-screen. That's exactly what's happening now. As divorce proceedings continue, both Dorit and PK are asking the court to accept very different explanations for how their financial situation reached this point. Those explanations don't simply affect public opinion. They could influence future legal decisions regarding property, financial responsibility, and the next chapter of their lives together apart. One of the biggest issues centers on the future of the Encino mansion itself. Anyone who has purchased a home understands that missing mortgage payments creates serious consequences. But when the property is worth millions of dollars and serves as one of the family's largest assets, every missed payment carries even greater significance. In California, lenders generally follow a structured foreclosure process that includes notices of default and opportunities for borrowers to cure delinquent payments before a foreclosure sale can proceed. While every case depends on its own facts and timeline, the legal process is designed to provide multiple stages before a property reaches a public auction. The existence of filings or notices does not necessarily mean an auction is inevitable. That outcome depends on future payments, negotiations, court proceedings, and lender decisions. That's an important distinction because headlines often skip the legal complexity. They replace possible with certain. They replace alleged with proven. And that's where confusion begins. In the Kemsley case, entertainment media reports have focused heavily on allegations that the property faces significant financial pressure. But until every legal issue is resolved, the final outcome remains uncertain. Still, the numbers being discussed have undeniably captured public attention. Court filings referenced by media outlets describe substantial mortgage arrears and ongoing disputes over how those obligations should be handled. PK has argued that selling the home represents the most practical solution, while Dorit's legal filings present a different interpretation of events and responsibility. This disagreement raises another fascinating question. Who was actually managing the family's finances? It's surprisingly common for married couples, even wealthy ones, to divide responsibilities. One spouse might oversee investments. The other handles business operations. Sometimes one partner pays household bills while the other focuses on income generation. Those arrangements work well until they don't. Once a marriage begins to break down, informal understandings often disappear. Every payment becomes evidence. Every financial decision becomes part of the legal record. Every receipt suddenly matters. That's exactly why both sides are presenting competing financial narratives. PK alleges that Dorit's spending habits contributed to the household's financial difficulties, citing luxury purchases and travel expenses in court filings. Dorit, meanwhile, has argued that her personal earnings funded her lifestyle choices and has rejected suggestions that her shopping alone explains the family's financial problems. These remain disputed claims within ongoing legal proceedings rather than established findings. It's easy for the public to focus on the headline-grabbing dollar amounts: luxury fashion, international travel, designer boutiques. Those details naturally attract attention. But experienced financial analysts often ask a different question first. Cash flow, because wealth on paper and available cash are not always the same thing. Someone may own expensive assets while still struggling to meet short-term financial obligations. That's true for businesses. It's true for athletes. It's true for entertainers. And it's true for real estate investors. High-value assets don't automatically translate into liquid cash available every month. This distinction helps explain why some celebrities unexpectedly face financial pressure despite appearing extraordinarily wealthy. Public image and financial reality don't always move together. Sometimes they move in completely opposite directions. That contrast has long fascinated audiences. Hollywood has seen actors lose mansions. Professional athletes have filed for bankruptcy. Music stars have quietly sold luxury estates after years of financial strain. Each story follows its own unique path, but one lesson appears repeatedly. Lifestyle can outpace liquidity. Whether that happened here remains one of the central questions surrounding the Kemsley case. Another topic attracting enormous attention involves reports about multiple loans connected to the property. Some commentary has suggested that various financing arrangements complicated the home's financial position. While analysts have speculated about how those obligations affected available equity, the exact financial structure and ultimate legal consequences remain matters tied to ongoing proceedings and publicly available records rather than final judicial findings. To the average viewer, those financial terms can sound overwhelming. Liens, equity, mortgage priority, refinancing, default notices. Yet together, they determine something incredibly important: who actually receives money if a property is eventually sold. Imagine pouring years into designing your dream home. Every room reflects your personality. Every renovation tells a story. Birthdays are celebrated there. Children grow up there. Television audiences associate the home with your family. Now imagine discovering that, even if the house sells, much of the proceeds could first be directed towards satisfying outstanding financial obligations before any remaining equity reaches the owners. That's the reality many financially distressed homeowners face. It's emotional, it's complicated, and it becomes even more painful when the entire process unfolds under the glare of national attention. Then comes another layer: the children. One aspect both sides appear to agree upon is that their children remain central to the family's future. Divorce proceedings involving custody naturally place added importance on stability, housing, and long-term planning. Court filings have referenced disagreements over the home's role in providing that stability, although each side characterizes the circumstances differently. Those issues remain part of ongoing legal proceedings. For parents, financial disputes are rarely just about money. They're about routine, schools, neighborhoods, friendships, a child's sense of normal life. A home isn't simply an asset listed on financial statements. It's where memories live. That's why battles over family residences often become among the most emotionally charged parts of any divorce. especially when both parents believe they're protecting their children's future. Meanwhile, outside the courtroom, another battle has been unfolding. The court of public opinion. Every new filing generates another wave of headlines. Every headline sparks thousands of social media comments. Some viewers immediately side with Dorit. Others believe PK's legal arguments appear stronger. Still others argue that the truth probably exists somewhere between both versions. And perhaps that's the healthiest perspective, because divorce litigation is inherently adversarial. Each legal team is advocating for its client. Each filing emphasizes facts that support one side while challenging the other. That's how the legal system works. It isn't unusual, but when celebrity divorces become public, those filings quickly transform into viral entertainment. Court documents become trending topics. Legal arguments become memes. And complicated financial disputes become simplified into team sports. Team Dorit, Team PK. Reality, however, rarely fits inside hashtags. As this legal battle continues, one question continues hanging over everything else. Can the financial dispute surrounding the mansion be resolved before it reaches an irreversible stage? Or will one of the most recognizable homes in the Real Housewives universe become a lasting symbol of how quickly public success can collide with private financial conflict? That answer may determine far more than the future of a single property. It could redefine the public legacy of one of Beverly Hills' most recognizable reality television stars. There is another reason this story has become so captivating. It's not just because of the money. It's because it forces viewers to question something they've accepted for years without much thought. How much of reality television is actually reality? For decades, audiences have understood that reality shows are edited. Conversations are condensed. Storylines are emphasized. Dramatic moments receive more screen time than ordinary ones. But there's another layer that rarely gets discussed: the pressure to maintain an image. In franchises built around extraordinary lifestyles, appearances matter. A luxury handbag isn't simply an accessory. A mansion isn't simply a place to live. A lavish vacation isn't simply time away. They're all part of a larger brand. Every cast member understands that viewers expect a certain standard of luxury. Whether fair or not, that expectation has become deeply woven into the DNA of shows like The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. The audience doesn't tune in to watch ordinary. They tune in to witness extraordinary. And maintaining that image can become incredibly expensive. That doesn't mean every cast member is living beyond their means. Nor does it mean anyone is pretending. But it does raise an important question. What happens when public expectations continue rising while private circumstances become increasingly complicated? That's where stories like this begin. Over the years, Bravo viewers have watched several housewives face financial setbacks, lawsuits, tax issues, divorces, and changing fortunes. Some rebuilt their reputations. Others stepped away from the spotlight. Each situation was unique, but they all shared one common lesson. Television fame doesn't eliminate financial risk. If anything, it can magnify it. For Dorit, the challenge now extends far beyond legal paperwork. Every court filing becomes entertainment news. Every paparazzi photograph is analyzed. Every social media post is interpreted as a statement. If she's photographed shopping, people ask why. If she travels, people question the timing. If she smiles, some viewers accuse her of ignoring serious problems. If she appears upset, others assume the worst. That's the reality of modern celebrity. Silence becomes a headline. Speaking becomes a headline. Either way, The conversation continues. One of the most talked about moments in recent reporting involved photographs of Dorit overseas, while legal disputes concerning the property continued back home. PK's legal filings referenced those circumstances as part of his broader argument, while Dorit's legal position presents a different interpretation of the events and their significance. Those competing narratives remain unresolved in court. It's a perfect example of how the same event can produce completely different public reactions. Some observers viewed the images as evidence that Dorit wasn't taking the financial situation seriously. Others argued that a single photograph reveals almost nothing about someone's private life. After all, a camera captures 1 second. It doesn't capture months of legal negotiations. It doesn't reveal confidential conversations. It doesn't explain emotional stress. And it certainly doesn't tell the entire story. That's why experienced journalists rely on documents before drawing conclusions. Photos create emotion. Paperwork creates context. Even then, legal filings tell only part of the story because each side is presenting arguments intended to support its own case. That's exactly why it's important to distinguish between allegations and findings. PK alleges that he attempted to resolve the home's financial situation through a sale, and that Dorit resisted those efforts. Dorit's legal filings challenge aspects of his narrative and argue that she should not bear sole responsibility for the circumstances surrounding the property. Those disputes have not been conclusively resolved by the court. For fans, however, legal nuance rarely goes viral. Emotion does. A dramatic headline spreads in minutes. A detailed explanation of court procedure rarely receives the same attention. That's one reason celebrity legal disputes often become misunderstood. People remember accusations. They forget responses. They remember dollar amounts. They overlook legal standards. And before long, a complicated case becomes a simplified internet narrative. But let's step back for a moment. Imagine living through this experience. Your marriage is ending. Your finances are being discussed across entertainment websites. Every legal filing becomes public. Thousands of strangers debate your personal decisions. Television viewers revisit scenes from years ago looking for clues they missed. Friends are asked to comment. Former castmates weigh in. Fans choose sides. Even ordinary trips to the grocery store become opportunities for photographers. Whether someone is ultimately vindicated or criticized, that's an extraordinary amount of public pressure. Psychologists often describe divorce as one of life's most stressful experiences. Now, imagine experiencing that divorce while millions of people watch from the sidelines. The emotional burden becomes almost impossible to measure. There's another factor many viewers overlook. Reality television personalities aren't simply television stars anymore. They're businesses. Their income often comes from multiple sources: television contracts, brand partnerships, appearances, books, fashion collaborations, sponsored content, public speaking. Every controversy can affect those opportunities. Some brands prefer avoiding public disputes altogether. Others wait for legal matters to conclude before making decisions. Still, others believe controversy increases visibility. There isn't one universal rule, but reputation undeniably carries financial value. That means this case isn't only about one home. It's also about public trust, future opportunities, professional relationships, and long-term career stability. If the legal battle continues making headlines, producers, advertisers, and audiences will all be watching closely, not because they know the outcome, because they don't. Uncertainty keeps people engaged. It's the same reason viewers continue following courtroom dramas long after the initial headlines fade. Everyone wants the final answer. The challenge is that legal proceedings rarely move at the speed of social media. Court schedules take time. Evidence is reviewed. Arguments are presented. Negotiations happen privately. Meanwhile, the internet continues speculating every single day. That's created an unusual situation. The public story keeps evolving even before the legal story reaches its conclusion. And with every new development, another curiosity emerges. Could this financial dispute eventually influence Dorit's future on the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills? Bravo has never shied away from documenting major life changes. Divorces, business struggles, friendship breakdowns, family conflicts. Those moments often become central storylines because they're real, emotional, and deeply personal. If cameras continue documenting Dorit's life while these legal proceedings unfold, viewers may witness one of the most significant personal chapters of her television career. But there's another possibility. Some public figures choose greater privacy during legal disputes. Others continue filming while carefully limiting discussion of ongoing litigation. Exactly how this situation unfolds remains to be seen. One thing, however, is already clear. The story has grown far beyond a mansion. It has become a conversation about celebrity, perception, financial responsibility, public image, and the enormous pressure that comes with living life in front of millions of viewers. And perhaps the biggest unanswered question still isn't whether the home ultimately changes hands. It's whether Dorit Kemsley can successfully redefine her public identity after years of being associated with luxury, glamour, and one of Beverly Hills' most recognizable lifestyles. Because sometimes the hardest thing to rebuild isn't a house. It's a reputation,